What is the number one mistake that people make when they are setting their goals? Have you ever made a goal and something happened, right? You didn't meet that goal or you gave up before it was time, all right? I've had a lot of experience in setting goals and meeting those goals. I became a single parent about 8 years ago, and in that time frame, there were a lot of goals I had to set. Whenever I split up from my ex-husband, well, my now ex-husband, I found myself practically homeless. I really had to go move in with my parents. I didn't have a job that I could actually support myself and my child. So, I needed some money. I had this mountain of credit card debt. So, what did I do, right? So some of the things that I was able to accomplish, some of the goals that I did and I actually accomplished, I got a new job. I paid off over $20,000 worth of credit card debt in just a little over a year's time frame. I also paid cash for a car that I drive right now. And then I also became a first-time home buyer with a single income at the age of 36. So those are definitely some big, lofty goals. If I didn't have a plan, if I was not following this, if I had made this mistake, this number one mistake, I definitely would have never reached my goals. So are you ready? Do you want to know what it is? It is reverse engineering. Okay, so I hear you going, reverse what? Right, exactly, reverse engineering. So when you have a goal, you want to start at the end and kind of work your way forward. What do I mean by that? Okay, so I had this mountain of credit card debt. It was about $20,000 of credit card debt that I wanted to completely pay off. I knew that in order to be able to support myself and my son and to be able to move out on my own and be our little family, I was going to need that extra income. I was spending all this money every month just paying off credit cards, and it was, all the high interest. It was just going nowhere, and you just weren't seeing the balances drop, and it was just a money suck, right? And that was money that I could be using to buy groceries and pay for a mortgage or rent. So what did I do? The first thing you want to do is start at the end of your goal. Where do you want to be at the end? Well, I wanted to pay off $20,000. That's what I knew. Okay, so what was it going to take for me to get there? I needed to sort of work my way backwards. You step it backwards from there, okay? So what could I do? I like to kind of set maybe a goal, a time frame. So let's say 1 year. All right, if I was going to pay off $20,000 worth of credit card debt in 1 year, what was that going to look like, right? That was over, I can't do math in my head really fast, but I did the math then. It was like what, over $1,000 a month that I was spending, right, to pay off this credit card debt. Well, I didn't have that much money, but I really wanted to meet this goal. So what were the other things that I could do? All right. So that's where you kind of start from, and you kind of work your way backwards. So when I was paying off the credit card debt, I needed to know how much money I could afford to spend every single month. And then what were the other things that I was going to have to do? I had to stay living with my parents because there was no way I could pay the mortgage or a rent and then also pay that same amount of money towards my credit cards to pay those off. I knew that also getting a new job was going to be part of it. So you kind of had to step through the entire process before you even started. If I'd have just gone along and said, all right, I'm going to pay $100 every month to my credit card companies, that was getting me nowhere. I didn't have an end goal in sight. I did not have a plan. So reverse engineering is all about creating that plan and working backwards. Now, the other thing that I also want to mention here is that in this process, you absolutely need to consider the emotional side of it. What is it going to feel like to you to meet that goal? If it's paying off the credit card debt, what is it going to feel like afterwards? After you've paid off all of that debt, how are you going to feel? If you don't know that, if you don't have a clear picture of that, there's no way you're ever going to meet that goal. Or sometimes you may realize that I I don't care. I don't care if I have credit card debt. All I care about is how I feel right now and things going forward. So it may be that you find that a goal is not very important to you. When you're working through this process, there may be other things that come up that are more important to you, and you want to do those other things first. So let's say I have a goal of, I want to lose 10 pounds, right? So that's one of my current goals. I want to lose 10 pounds. So how is it that I'm going to do that, right? So I may start, what are the things that people always do? They start going, okay, I'm going to eat better and I'm going to exercise regularly. And that's it. That's really kind of their plan. They have not really stepped back and created that reverse engineering process. So if I just wake up tomorrow and decide, all right, I'm going to eat healthy and I'm going to work out, how long do you think that's going to last? How many people do you know when January 1st rolls around that this is their goal? They want to lose weight, but it doesn't really happen. Maybe they do it for like a week or two and then they stop. Why do people stop before they reach their goal? It's because they don't have a clear plan and they don't have this whole path kind of mapped out. And it's also something that you want to take stock of occasionally. All right, so my goal right now, I want to lose 10 pounds. So let's first reverse engineer that. Let's work backwards, right? So let's say that what's a good time frame for me to lose 10 pounds? Well, if I said December 31st, that is 30 days away. 10 pounds in 30 days. That's 2 to 3 pounds a week. Okay, so some people may have no problems losing 2 to 3 pounds per week. But for me, I don't have a ton of weight to lose. And so that's a lot. When you're trying to lose those last 10 pounds, that's not good. So remember when I said you want to think about how are you going to feel? Well, it's going to feel great for me to lose 10 pounds. I feel like I will look better. I will look slimmer, right? But remember working backwards. What is it going to take for me to lose those 2 to 3 pounds per week in order to meet a goal of losing the 10 pounds by the end of December? Well, that would mean a lot of sacrifice on my part, a lot of sacrifice. I may have to work out every single day for 30 to 60 minutes. I may have to cut back on my food quite a bit. It may not be a doable thing for me to do it in 30 days. But what about 60 days? So when you start to take a look at your goals and you're reverse engineering and you go, you know what, it would not feel good for me to have to cut back so much on all the sweets and everything because right now it's Christmas and maybe I want to indulge a little bit. I know I'm still going to be losing weight. I'm not going to indulge every day, but for me, I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel bad about never being able to eat any sweets at Christmas or only allowing myself one meal the whole time where I can have sweets. I don't want to make those kinds of sacrifices. So instead, I'm going to alter my goal. But I have a realistic picture now because I'm doing that process where I am working backwards. So now if I change my mind and I say, all right, let's go ahead and put a 60-day time frame on this goal. So now that becomes a lot more doable. Now I only have to lose 5 pounds in 30 days, and then I have the next year I can lose the extra 5 pounds in those days. And again, I can reverse engineer it. What is it going to take in order to get there? Okay, so again, and then you got to map out a plan, right? If you're going to lose weight and you want to lose 2 to 3 pounds per week or whatever it is, what is your plan? What is it going to take every single day for you to get there? So you got to know the end, give yourself a time frame, give yourself a date, and then you have to work out a plan. And then you want to set intermediate goals in between them, okay? So it's definitely something that I know that maybe I want to lose 5 pounds by the end of December. That's an intermediate goal, right? That tells me that's my halfway mark. So if I'm checked back in on December 31st and I have not lost the 5 pounds, then I know that something has gone wrong with my halfway mark. But it's good to set up those check marks along the way when you are doing this to begin with, when you are doing that reverse engineering process. That way you will be more determined or more motivated to keep up with your goals all throughout the process. So this is definitely what I did whenever I was paying off debt, when I was looking for a new job, when looking for a new job, for example, I knew that I needed a new job, and in order for me to move out, and my parents had said, maybe I'd live with them for about a year, right? So my goal was, by the end of that year, I needed to have all of this in place. I needed to have a job where I was making enough money to support myself, and I also needed to pay off enough credit card debt to where I could free up that extra monthly income in order to put towards a rent or childcare or food or all of the above. So those are the kind of things that I gave myself. I gave myself that deadline. Now, I didn't meet my year deadline. It was a year and 4 months it took me in order to move out, right? My parents, of course, did not kick me out of the house. But what happens when you don't meet your deadline? It's okay, right? You have to give yourself that leeway. But when you are doing this process, when you are reverse engineering everything, you are doing those check-ins every step of the way, okay? So when I was looking for a new job, I knew that kind of meant that I needed to get with recruiters. I needed to network. I needed to do so much per week or so much per day in order to get there, right? Also, I had to look down at my budget and see, all right, what was it going to take to live on my own? I had to guesstimate what was a going rate for rent. What was I going to be using for food? I had to kind of create a budget of what it would take to live on my own. And then I had to know, all right, so I'm looking for a job that makes X amount of money. I had to make at least a certain amount of money in order to meet those monthly expenses. That's how we reverse engineer it. It wasn't just, I'm going to go look for a new job and that one's paying me $10,000 more than what I make now, or maybe $5,000 more. Well, is that enough? How do you know? You have to know these things. That's where the reverse engineering process comes in. So that is it. That is the number one mistake that a lot of people make in goal setting. I want to hear from you now. Do you have any goals? Is there something that you are working on right now? Comment below in the video. I would love to hear from you. Tell me what goals you are trying to meet. And then now that you've told me the goal that you're trying to meet, I also want you to start thinking about the reverse engineering process. Give yourself a time frame. What is the time frame that you are going to complete that goal? And then start thinking about the steps that it's going to take to get there. And you want to give yourself checkpoints along the way. So whatever your goal is, go ahead and comment that, and then also tell me some of the steps that you are going to take to achieve that goal, and what is your deadline for that goal. And again, if your goal deadline comes and it passes and you haven't met it, it's okay. You should be checking in and you should know where you are. You may have to adjust periodically with your goals, but that's okay. This is real life. Real life happens. So what do we do in real life? We adjust. You roll with the punches. So that is definitely something that you want to look at your goals periodically. Do you need to adjust your timeline? Go ahead and do that. Write it down. Write down a new timeline. Make yourself feel better if you haven't finished achieving those goals. And then also, another good reason to check in, what happens if you decide, I no longer care about this goal, right? Maybe you were saving up for your perfect vacation, but you changed your mind. You'd rather spend that money on buying a new car or whatever it is. That's okay. It's okay to change your mind. This is your life. You are the author of your life, and you get to decide how you want to live your life and what you want to do with it. So don't be afraid to change those goals throughout the process, but also don't be afraid to check in and keep going to meet the goals that you really do want to achieve. All right, so I do have another video planned for next week. Specifically, I want to talk to you about paying off debt, paying off credit card debt. We talked a little bit about it in this video, but I really want to talk about the step-by-steps of it. So keep looking for those videos. I will be doing that next week. And feel free to like my page if you haven't done so, and subscribe. That way you will get notifications whenever I do new videos. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a happy and blessed day.